our Across the Aisle segment tonight. A special election today in Georgia may have big implications for the Democratic Party. Liberals want to make the election to fill Tom Price's open seat a referendum on President Trump. But with the tens of millions of dollars they're pouring in from out of state, really doesn't this show how desperate Democrats are for a win? Joining me now, Democratic strategist and former Georgia State Representative LaDawn Jones. LaDawn, good to see you.
Thanks for having me today, Liz, on this great election day.
It is indeed. This is one of the great things about living in this nation. This is an exciting election, although I think probably both Republicans and Democrats are being a bit dramatic about it. Special elections aren't usually an indicator of what's going to happen in the next major election. I guess the next major one would be 2018. LaDawn, to me, this seems to be more of an example that Democrats are pretty desperate for a win than anything else.
Well, I'll tell you, here in Georgia, Liz, I don't live in the 6th district, but I live close enough to get the same news, and they have hounded us with ad after ad after ad. So it has been a pretty big deal here. You know, in this case, I think it may not be the Democrats just seeking a win to beat Republicans, but because they're still trying to figure out what is going on with them. Since Hillary and Bernie had such a big split on the party, I think they're trying to find out a formula for a win in the future, whether it's against Republicans or just winning for the people.
Right, and I guess to me it seems like business as usual for the Democrats. I mean, you mentioned you live outside the district. I know this is probably the primary Republican talking point, but Jon Ossoff also lives outside the district that he's running in, and it seems to me they're using their same old formula of bringing someone in, bringing money from outside, bringing talking points from outside, trying to drown the district in money without actually getting someone from that district, getting the people engaged, talking to the people about their needs, and that seems to me why the American people rejected Hillary in November.
Maybe. Well, we know that if you run for Congress, you don't actually have to live in the district. It is the law, right? And obviously that must not be unique. He's not doing something that hasn't been done before because that law has always been in place. However, I think that the amount of money that was driven into this district is more because they do want to show that Americans have changed, and partly because during Trump's election, he almost lost this district, which was heavily Republican in the past when Tom Price won it by several points. So I think that it was more of all the stars lining up that made the Democrats say, we really want to put everything into this pot. And Jon Ossoff is frankly a really good candidate. He's someone that will really listen to both sides.
Right. But I guess I don't mean to harp on this issue, but it still seems to me to be an elitist attitude for Democrats on the coasts and in Washington, D.C., the ones that, gave this tens of millions of dollars. I think it's something like 95% of Ossoff's campaign donations came from out of state and out of the district. That's insane. Doesn't that show this elitist attitude of the Democratic Party that they, far removed from the problems, know best, that they're going to swoop in and solve the problems for the people instead of the people figuring out how to solve them themselves?
Absolutely not. That is exactly how our system is set up. We saw with the Bernie Sanders campaign that rather than trying to do these large corporate donations or large individual donations, having several donations from all around the country coming in small amounts helps to make a huge difference in a race. It's just about 2017 campaigning technology. I don't think it's an elitist thing. Listen, there are some people who feel very strongly against Donald Trump and the Paul Ryan administration. And I think it is their right and their duty as citizens to have an impact where they can. And right now, this is
I get that. It is one of the beautiful things about our country that we can speak up even when it's not in our district. But this idea that it's a referendum on Donald Trump or a referendum on Paul Ryan, I mean, I don't see that. Did Ossoff win outright in the primary election?
No, but he did come out with 48% with about 10 people in the race, and many of them very strong Republicans. So he was very close to winning this election outright, and I really wish he would have, because that would have in fact been a referendum.
Well, it might have been closer to one, but this way I'm not sure that I get Democrats' argument. They're just so desperate to have some success in the face of Donald Trump that they want Jon Ossoff to be the poster boy of that. But the truth of the matter is he was running in a primary where there were something like 11 Republicans splitting up the Republican vote. Of course, Karen Handel didn't win more of that when it was split like that. He didn't get a mandate. Ossoff didn't get a mandate. There's no referendum that I see except for, I guess, Democrats' delusional desire for one.
Maybe, but one thing that I really want us to look at, Liz, is that, the Republicans are pushing forth a very weak candidate in Karen Handel. She's held several positions, and frankly, she stands for things that are not quite Republican-esque, right? She has high spending during low economic times. She's spending money on her personal vehicles. She's getting involved in projects just so she can put her personal imprint on individuals' lives. That's not what Republicans stand for, but they're standing behind her because she is in fact a Republican, and they're trying to maintain control. That's partisanship at its worst.
Well, they're standing behind Karen Handel because Jon Ossoff has absolutely no experience. I mean, he's already showed that he can be bought by Democratic special interests. He promised during the primary that he'd do a nationally televised debate, and then he backed out of that. He backed out of that in favor of a debate sponsored by special interests. I mean, do Democrats really, after dealing with Hillary Clinton and all of her selling herself to Wall Street, do they really want someone else, another politician in Washington, D.C., who can be bought off like that?
Well, I don't know, because here in Georgia, Karen Handel blew off a lot of other different debates, particularly for interest groups like the gay and lesbian groups, for African Americans. She didn't even care to speak to those groups at all. But you, I, and Jon Ossoff have something in common, and that's all. We're all of this newer generation, and frankly, that's who needs to take control. Because even no matter where we are on either side of the aisle, we need fresh ideas. And I think that's what Jon Ossoff represents. That's what you represent. And that's why I'm supporting him. And I think that's why I think he's going to pull this home in Georgia.
Well, we do need new ideas. We do need new people, but we don't need new people that are controlled by old special interests and controlled by old Democratic talking points. We've had enough of that. And the American people have already said no to that. They've already said no to people who twist the truth to try to appeal to the American people. Again, like Ossoff did when he was talking about his national security experience and having top secret clearance when really he was a lower level staffer. I don't think people want corruption. They don't want lying. They don't want people bought off by special interests. And maybe, if anything, if there's anything we can draw from this special election, that might be what it is. But it will be interesting to see. LaDawn, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.